KEX.
Every day, Bob's RV Country gets cards and letters from satisfied buyers. Maybe it's because Bob's offers such excellent values on the Northwest's largest selection of quality Newmar motorhomes. Maybe it's because Bob's has more fifth wheels, more travel trailers, more gas and diesel models, more slide-outs, more of everything it takes to capture your RV dream. All good reasons to visit Bob's RV Country on Canyon Road in Beaverton today.
Capture your dream
at Bob's RV Country.
Next time.
Greg Louganis and AIDS are the new rules necessary for blood in sports. A late dust-up in the Simpson trial, the promise of another trial if this one ends in deadlock. And we'll always have dumb drivers, but now they can have smart cars.
From NBC News, this is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. It's now estimated that in this country, nearly 500,000 people have AIDS. Nearly 250,000 people have already died of this terrible disease. But when a public personality is infected, it once again jars everyone. And we're reminded once again that AIDS is a complex and perilous part of modern life. Greg Louganis, one of America's premier athletes, the gold medal winning Olympic diver, his announcement that he has AIDS is very much on the minds tonight of health officials, athletes, and ordinary people everywhere. NBC's Robert Hager.
It came as a shock to sports fans, to everyone.
I do have AIDS.
But experts today agreed. When Greg Louganis was wounded at the '88 Olympics, there was almost no chance the virus could have spread to other swimmers in the pool. It would have been diluted and destroyed by the chlorine. But the doctor who stitched Louganis without wearing gloves could have been at risk, though he's since tested negative. Should Louganis have warned people? Teammate Rick Bradshaw.
I was very surprised that he and his coach knew at the time.
Other athletes have had the AIDS virus. Basketball's Magic Johnson, the late tennis pro Arthur Ashe, Bill Goldsworthy, former Minnesota North Star hockey player who's just disclosed he's ill. In the last few years, nearly all sports have adopted rules. If an athlete is bleeding, play must be stopped at the first break. The wound must be covered. And if the uniform is saturated with blood, it must be changed. But there's no agreement on the more sensitive issue of whether athletes, especially in contact sports, should be required to take AIDS tests or tell anyone if they're HIV positive. The state of Nevada is nearly alone in this. It requires boxers to take AIDS tests, and its boxing director, Mark Ratner, recommends the same for others.
In all sports, whether it be NBA basketball, NFL football, or even NHL hockey or the Olympics, I think before you are in these different sporting events, once a year you should be tested in all sports.
But others cite issues of privacy and say testing isn't necessary. The present medical chairman of the U.S. Olympic Committee, Dr. David Joyner.
In the athletic world, there has never been a confirmed transmission of HIV from athlete to athlete referable to the athletic contest or practice itself.
The Olympic Committee said again today no testing, but that still may be re-examined. Robert Hager, NBC News, Washington.
We have a related story tonight. Federal health officials are now saying that teenagers in this country are more likely to use condoms now than 5 years ago. However, almost half of 16,000 high school students surveyed by the Centers for Disease Control say they did not use a condom the last time they had sex. Now to the O.J. Simpson trial, where late today there was a sudden and surprising flare-up between Judge Lancito and members of the prosecution team. From Los Angeles again tonight, here's NBC's David Bloom.
Late today, after an angry exchange between prosecutor Christopher Darden and Judge Lancito, Darden was cited for contempt of court. And after a tense standoff between judge and prosecutor, Darden reluctantly apologized.
It appears that the court is correct, that perhaps my comments may have been or are somewhat inappropriate. I apologize to the court. I meant no disrespect. However, I did have some concerns I would like to take up with the court.
The flare-up started out of earshot of the jury at sidebar, with only the judge, attorneys, and court reporter there. Arguing about Johnny Cochran's cross-examination of the lead detective, Darden says, "Who is he talking about? Doesn't know how to try the case." Ito says, "Wait, Mr. Darden. Darden, is he the only lawyer that knows how to try the case?" Ito, "I'm going to hold you in contempt." Darden, "I should be held in contempt. I've sat here and listened to." Ito, "Mr. Darden, I'm warning you right now." Darden, This cross-examination is out of order. At that point, an angry Judge Ito dismissed the jury.
Mr. Darden, let me give you a piece of advice. Take about 3 deep breaths, as I'm going to do, and then contemplate what you're going to say next.
Suddenly, Marcia Clark was no longer prosecuting O.J. Simpson, but trying to defend her embattled colleague.
What we are all concerned about here, Your Honor, is that there is a method of cross-examination that is being conducted by Mr. Cochran.
That's not what I'm interested in this part.
But Judge Ito had had enough of the bickering and told Clark that Darden had better apologize or else.
I invite counsel to take 3 deep breaths and think very carefully about what they're going to say to the court next. That's an opportunity to get up and say, gee, I'm sorry, I lost my head there. I apologize to the court. I apologize to counsel. When you get that response, then we move on. When you tell the court you want to have an order to show cause, that's a different response. That says you want to fight.
Judge Ito gave prosecutors 10 minutes to decide what to do. But when Clark and Darden came back, they wanted more time. Ito refused. And ultimately, Darden gave in. David Bloom, NBC News, Los Angeles.
A little later, we'll have a closer look at the trial, and tonight, the question of cost. It is immense. Tonight, we want to talk as well with our chief legal correspondent for NBC News, Jack Ford, about what's going on here. Jack, this kind of sidebar conference and a dust-up, is it just the result of stress building up in the courtroom, do you think?
I think so, Tom. You know, this is a huge case for everybody involved, but it shows you that there are real dramatic moments that take place in a courtroom. Also shows you that even the most professional lawyers sometimes let their emotions take over. But I tell you what, if I'm sitting in Christopher Darden's seat, I understand why he was angry. Although he apologized, he said to Judge Ito, there's some concerns I want to talk to you about. I'm sure those concerns are the prosecution thinking that Johnny Cochran is getting away with a lot in the courtroom. Right before this, we saw a series of questions about Faye Resnick. The prosecution objected. The defense sustained those objections. And Mr. Cochran turned around and asked the same question again, putting that same information in front of the jury. So I think you can see why Chris Darden was angry, but it took a little time, and ultimately the matter got resolved.
Thanks very much, Jack Ford. A reminder, we will have that story on the high cost of this trial later on NBC Nightly News. We also have an update tonight on the story in Los Angeles that we reported on earlier this week. William Masters, who shot 2 graffiti vandals earlier this month, killing one, was charged today with carrying a concealed weapon. That's a misdemeanor. The man that he wounded was charged with vandalism. When NBC Nightly News continues, remember Haiti? Well, after 5 months, have Americans made peace there? Also tonight, Perspective by Bill Moyers, Baptist, and Dr. Henry Foster. And who's to blame if you get there, but your bags do not?
These are singles crossing above us.
You know, a Carnival cruise is the best vacation value going. You can enjoy fun days at sea, fun-filled nights, fabulous food.
Oh, boy, you can say that again.
Great Scott, Willard, what are you doing out here?
Kathy, I'm having the time of my life.
Take a 3, 4, or 7-day vacation on Carnival, the most popular cruise line in the world.
Boy, I can't wait until the midnight buffet.
You think you'll have any room left?
What are you, a comic?
Their eggs and Egg Beater's eggs both come from the same place. The biggest difference is while theirs has fat, Egg Beater's has no fat. Of course, we didn't short you on the taste. Egg Beaters, we're good eggs.
What do people think of these Sunsweet orange and lemon essence pitted prunes?
I love lemons. Do they smell like oranges? I like these a lot. Orange essence excites me. Lemon flavored prunes? They're wonderful. These are really good. What did Barbara Mandrell think?
Actually, I love them both.
Rice Krispie treats?
Melba made them.
Melba made them.
She's a hard-working gal.
Took her 10 minutes.
10 minutes? Well, she's going to get a big old kiss from me. Run Melba. Said they were low fat.
Low fat.
Which one do you care about fat?
How do you think I keep my girlish figure?
You get low-fat Kellogg's Rice Krispies treats. You get Snap, Crackle, Pop. What other cereal says so much?
President Clinton is in Canada tonight for a 2-day summit on trade and border issues. In a speech to the Canadian Parliament, he praised that country as a model of unity. This despite Quebec's latest attempt at independence. Off the coast of Somalia today, final preparations for the evacuation of UN peacekeepers. More than 2,000 American troops and an arsenal of firepower are off the coast of that East African nation. It's a 7-nation effort altogether. The Marine commander says they are ready for anything. The evacuation is expected to start early next week. Now back in this hemisphere to Haiti, where 5 months ago, U.S. troops began Operation Uphold Democracy and restored President Jean-Bertrand Aristide to power. But did they bring a peace that will last? NBC's Andrea Mitchell tonight is in Port-au-Prince.
5 months after U.S. troops arrived, people are still dancing in the streets of Port-au-Prince. But as with everything else in Haiti, this parade is not what it appears to be. These Aristide supporters are demonstrating against Jimmy Carter, who returned today to help speed up elections. They don't want elections. They want President Aristide in office for life. The biggest change in 5 months, people feel safe to come out and speak out. Marie says you can't eat. Things are expensive, but there is no fear. If it's safe, it's because it still looks like an American occupation. Half the American forces will be leaving next month when the UN takes over. The question is, will the UN be able to maintain the security that the U.S. forces have created? And more important, when the UN pulls out, will Haiti be able to go it alone? The real fear is that the military will try to get back in power. Aristide tried to prevent that this week by firing what was left of the army. Even officers the White House had urged him to keep to provide more security.
My people want me to move this way.
So there is no army?
So far, so good.
Not really. Afraid of a disaster like Somalia, the White House decided not to rebuild Haiti by itself, but to start phasing out. So while the U.S. had promised to do things like restore electricity by January, it hasn't. Without reliable telephones and power, businesses won't return. Unemployment still 75%. Hunger everywhere. Garbage picked up sometimes. Sewage still in the streets. Traffic is impossible. Can democracy take root amidst such chaos?
Depends on those two things, security and getting the economic signs of progress moving.
And if those things don't happen?
Then there'll be a struggle.
Struggle is something Haitians already understand very well. Andrea Mitchell, NBC News, Port-au-Prince.
Up next, we'll take a look at the price tag in the O.J. Simpson trial. And why are these cars smart? Well, we'll show you why when NBC Nightly News continues.
Don't blink. The business world is changing so fast, you might miss something. It's a world in which business as usual can put you out of business. Where you have to be more things to more people, or you can bet someone else will. This is the world UPS works in, which is why we do more than simply deliver packages. We do things others can't, from barcoding your inventory to helping you warehouse it, from tracking around the world to delivering around the corner. Like you, we have to wear a lot of hats. Ours just all happen to be brown. UPS, moving at the speed of business.
Okay, Daddy's turn to eat. Mommy said, try Crispix. It doesn't get soggy in milk. Yeah, Mommy is funny. Okay, so it starts crispy. Big deal, huh? Well, like childhood, this won't last.
Kellogg's Crispix cereal. Delicious corn and rice that stays crispy to the end.
Last bite. This should be mushy enough for you. Hey, it's still crispy. You're gonna love this stuff. Of course, you're gonna need teeth first. That means orthodontist.
Now back to the O.J. Simpson trial and our nightly closer look at the proceedings there tonight. Questions of costs, which many are saying are getting out of hand. How big is the bill so far? Well, NBC's Kelly O'Donnell tonight has been counting it all up.
The Board of Supervisors held a special session today because the county's budget is hurting. The Simpson case, just one of the problems, has a price they can't control.
Right now, this trial is a circus, and the taxpayers are having to clean up after the jackals.
The cost of prosecuting the Simpson murder trial has topped $2.4 million and still counting. Here's the running tab. From mid-June through the end of January, the district attorney's office has spent $1.4 million. The sheriff's department, more than $500,000. The coroner's office, $28,000. Then there's the price of sequestering the jury. Security, room and board total just under $200,000 for the first 21 days. You can double that. We're now on day 44. The budget trouble is so bad, L.A. County is pleading with the state for help. There's even legislation in the works to have the state of California pick up the tab on high-profile cases. The only moneymaker for the county in all of this is the media camp across the street. Rent paid so far comes to $114,000, defraying a few trial costs. If it ends by June, the best guess puts the cost between $5 and $7 million, maybe just a first installment. If there's a hung jury, the DA pledges to try the case again. Kelly O'Donnell, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Shifting gears now to a glimpse of the future on the road in this country. It's almost 2001, and cars are in the fast lane of change. They're called smart cars because they come equipped with gadgets that make driving easier and safer. Here's NBC's Mike Jensen.
Right turn ahead.
They use satellites to navigate, radar to avoid collisions.
Brake, 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 brake.
Infrared scopes to light up the night, and microwave beams to save lives. With worldwide competition so fierce, automakers are rushing to develop enticing space-age electronics. A lot of it is Desert Storm technology developed for the military. This radar system, used in fighter planes, sounds an alarm and hits the brakes if you get too close to the car in front. It will be on the market in 5 years for about $1,000. This satellite navigation system, already on the market for $2,000, can direct you almost anywhere, including the nearest McDonald's. With this electronic device, you can tell the turnpike toll booth you've paid in advance. The toll booth tells you how much money is left in your account. It's being used in Illinois to speed traffic.
Phone on.
To communicate with home or the office, how about this? A picture phone and fax. They'll be available in a few years. Also in the works, paying for gas from your dashboard with a credit card. And there's an infrared system that warns drivers there's something in their blind spot.
When a car comes into that zone, you can't see it in the side view mirror, so the system alerts you by putting a dot in the mirror if somebody is in your zone.
And on 1,000 school buses, this safety device. A $1,200 microwave system that sounds an alarm when a child is in front of the bus or alongside.
A 4-year-old was getting on the bus, and the mother had a 2-year-old with her, and he ran alongside the bus, and the beeper went off and saved him.
Remember the Desert Storm night scopes? They're helping cops catch crooks.
This is what police officers normally see at night from inside their cruiser. But this is what they see when they use an infrared device called Night Sight.
500 of these will be in use by the end of the year at a price of $6,500. And the engineers who dream up these things say that 50 years from now, there'll even be cars that drive themselves. Mike Jensen, NBC News, Chicago.
And we have news tonight about an American car company that believes it's made a smart move. Ford has signed a $100 million deal to build cars and trucks in Vietnam, the first U.S. automaker to invest in that country since Washington lifted the ban last year. And from Federal Reserve Chairman Alan Greenspan, words today that investors have been waiting for. He said the economy is slowing. Interest rates could go down. The effect tonight, a historic high for the Dow on Wall Street, over 4,000 for the first time, up more than 30 points today in very heavy trading. The NASDAQ also was up slightly today. And this note tonight, James Herriot, best known for his book, All Creatures Great and Small. He died today at his home in northern England. The cause, prostate cancer. Herriot was 78 years old. When NBC Nightly News continues, Bill Moyer's perspective on Baptists and abortion.
People are much more satisfied than they have been in the past. Now with quality care standards, we have some guidelines to follow. This is what the customers want. They want to have their appointment within a day. They want to have their car fixed right the first time. This is them speaking. Anything we can do to make it better. It's not just meeting the standards that people are setting for us, but exceeding them. Something we're doing is working.
Quality care people, quality care standards at your Ford and Lincoln Mercury dealer.
People are creatures of habit. That explains why most people who use laxatives stick with their brand.
You, however, might change if you knew which overnight laxative doctors say they'd take most, and that's Phillips Milk of Magnesia. In fact, for gentle overnight relief, they'd take Phillips more than any other brand. Now, that's something you can feel very good about taking. After all, doctors do. Phillips Milk of Magnesia. Doctors know best. Also, try easy-to-swallow Phillips gel caps.
Monday, I soak my dentures. Tuesday, I brush. Wednesday, I soak.
Wait, all you need is denture cream. Why soak when denture cream gets dentures twice as clean and has minty mouthwash ingredients? All you need is denture cream.
Every day.
Come on, we're late. I'll give you a ride.
Even on your busiest mornings, you can make them instant Quaker oatmeal instead of cold cereal. Instant Quaker oatmeal.
Come on, Mom. I'll give you a ride.
For moms who have a lot of love, but not a lot of time.
Introducing the repair shop at Radio Shack. If it's out of whack
and out of warranty, just call us.
We'll tell you whether you should bring it in.
About how much it'll cost.
And how soon you'll get it. So you get it back. We fix most major brands, even...
We fix most major
brands of electronics.
Even the more...
annoying ones.
The repair shop at Radio Shack. You've got questions, we've got answers.
What are the stars of ER really like? Take a trip behind the scenes of the hottest new show on TV, Dateline, Friday.
As we reported earlier this week, the Southern Baptist Convention, that's America's largest Protestant denomination, has come out against the nomination of Dr. Henry Foster to be the U.S. Surgeon General. Well, tonight, Bill Moyers puts that in perspective.
Let's begin with a quiz with some familiar photographs seen often in the news. What does this man have in common with this man? And this man with this man? And this man with this man? You win a pair of angel wings if you said that Bill Clinton and Newt Gingrich, Jesse Helms and Jesse Jackson, Pat Robertson and Al Gore are all Baptist. So are Sam Donaldson and yours truly. Clearly, Baptists are a motley crowd. The free exercise of conscience is the heart of the faith, the priesthood of the believer, and every local church is a democracy. No one can speak for all Baptists. But in the last decade, the Southern Baptist Convention was captured by a political posse allied with the Republican Party. Their hierarchy wants to impose conformity on the churches. Suddenly, the 39 legal abortions performed by Henry Foster, which he says he did reluctantly, are a theological sin and a political opportunity. Despite studies showing Southern Baptists hold varying opinions about abortion, the hierarchy has pronounced all 15 million of them opposed to Foster's nomination. The irony is that Henry Foster, M.D., himself a Baptist, has been a lifelong crusader against teenage pregnancy and probably more successful at preaching abstinence than a dozen doctors of theology. But when God becomes a partisan, religion becomes unforgiving and all subtlety excommunicated. Suppose, though, that instead of reading National Review, New Republic, or The Nation, God reads only the human heart and looks with mercy on mortals like Henry Foster making hard choices in the anguished trenches of life. Would God then vote yea or nay on the nomination? I don't know, and neither does any other Baptist.
Now to NBC News Online. Many people who smoke like to do that over a cup of coffee, but that's come under fire in the war against smoking. Dunkin' Donuts has announced that it will ban smoking in all of its outlets effective June 1st. This chain has almost 3,000 outlets nationwide. Frustration with drugs and violence has led to a controversial proposal in Los Angeles offering students up to $75 for tipping off authorities about classmates who are carrying weapons or narcotics. $15,000 for all of this has been put up by a nonprofit sport hunting group which developed the plan with the Los Angeles police. And what would you pay for a piece of American history? Richard Nixon's letter of resignation. Well, the first draft anyway. The official version is in the National Archives. This one is up for auction tonight. Corrections and all. It was once owned by a Nixon friend. It could fetch more than $70,000. Up next, meet a man who's got a lot riding on your luggage when NBC Nightly News continues.
The people who brought you pumps you can play basketball in have created a whole new shoe. Just ask the egg. Spirit introduces the new Easy Spirit. Our most comfortable dress shoe ever. Easy Spirit's new surprise.
Hey, if you want 100% of 11 vitamins and minerals from your cereal, try Total. Because to try to get that from Special K, you're going to have to add more than just milk.
Like what?
Perhaps you'd like to start with these. Whole grain Total. One bowl, 100%.
How about the Total?
Oh, I can't wait to tell you the news. You know all that seafood you love at Red Lobster? Well, we've just lowered our prices. Our new menu has 15 dinners under $10, like our shrimp sampler, just $7.99, with sizzling scampi, flame grilled shrimp, fried shrimp, plus bread and salad, just $7.99. How's everything?
Delicious.
You know, with our delicious seafood and 15 dinners under $10, you're going to love Red Lobster even more. See you soon.
Now for deep cleaning, the Hoover Steam Vac. Not a vacuum, it washes out dirt, yet it's easy to use as you upright.
Hoover, nobody does it like you.
When I was a kid, Mom was always after me to eat right.
And that's what mothers do.
Now I'm looking out for her with Ensure. More than a vitamin supplement, Ensure is a delicious drink with all the nutrients adults need to help stay healthy, active, be energetic.
Drink Ensure as a meal.
Or in between.
You know, dear, Ensure is even recommended #1 by doctors as a source of complete, balanced nutrition.
Ensure. To your health, Mom.
Our health, dear.
Tomorrow on Today, if your sex life isn't the best, don't give up. You're only 7 weeks away from making it better. Join us tomorrow and see what a difference today makes.
The new Denver airport is scheduled to open next week, finally, after delays of almost a year and a half and billions of dollars. There were lots of reasons for this delay, but the new high-tech baggage system got most of the blame. NBC's Roger O'Neill tonight on the man on the spot.
Forget about the $5 billion price tag. Never mind that technologically it's the most advanced airport in the world. What really counts is what every airline passenger carries.
And all the public cares about is will their bag get to the airplane and from it. That's the bottom line.
But after 3 years of work and $300 million spent on a baggage system that never worked well, Gene DeFonso is now trying to convince everyone it will. His company, BAE, has been blamed for keeping Denver's new airport closed for 16 months.
Well, that's the story. You won't be surprised to learn I disagree with that rather strongly.
DeFonso at first refused to take the Denver project. It was too big, and the city wanted a 4-year job compressed into 2. But with a fat contract and the chance to show off its high-speed, computer-driven baggage-moving technology to the world, BAE signed up.
It placed a tremendous amount of stress on our company. We are the only ones that ever built this stuff, and it's been intense, and it's been occasionally very nerve-wracking.
The breakdowns, the delays, the blame game that ensued badly tarnished DeFonso's company. A PR firm now handles the press and reminds DeFonso to smile. But at 48 years old, 3 years away from his Dallas home, the strain shows.
I feel tired, and as do all the people that work for me on this project. But what is pleasing to me is that we still have fight, we still have pride. We are determined to show the world that our technology is the best.
The baggage system here is now working, but it has been downsized. Instead of serving all the airlines, when the airport opens, only one of the carriers will get bags via the BAE system. On Tuesday, when passengers start coming to these carousels, DeFonso knows his and his company's future